Now, Flores, to his credit, was not silent yesterday. Here's his statement. I'm thankful the NFL's investigator found my factual allegations against Stephen Ross are true. At the same time, I am disappointed to learn that the investigator minimized Mr. Ross's offers and pressure to tank games, especially when I wrote and submitted a letter at the time to Dolphins executives documenting my serious concerns regarding the subject at the time, which the investigator has in her possession. While the investigator found that the Dolphins had engaged in impermissible tampering of unprecedented scope and severity, Mr. Ross will avoid any meaningful consequence. There is nothing more important when it comes to the game of football itself than the integrity of the game. When the integrity of the game is called into question, fans suffer and football suffers. Amen to that, Brian Flores. And he's right. And here's the thing. His lawsuit goes forward. Now, they're fighting over whether or not it's going to play out in open court or secret rigged kangaroo court. See, this is another reason why they try to steer it towards secret rigged kangaroo court, because he's going to have more to say about the tampering, about the tanking. That letter, this letter that Mary Jo White has in her possession, it's far more likely to be in our possession if the case goes forward in court. If it gets steered toward secret rigged kangaroo court, we're never going to see it. It's one of the reasons why they do it. Yeah. I'd love to see that letter. I'd love to see what he said because, getting back to the statement that once Mr. Flores complained, Mr. Ross never said that. And the other executives said, oh, no, they want you to win every game. Of course they're going to do that. Once he puts it in writing, once he steps out of the wink, wink, nod, this is the way we do things. And he's papering the record in a way that if this gets in someone's hands, people are in major trouble. That's when they say, oh, no, he's not suggesting, even though he is, that we lose games. Oh, Brian, you've got Mr. Ross all wrong. We want you to win every game. Don't worry about our draft status next year. And then somebody says to Ross, hey, you know what? Probably a good idea to quit saying these things around Flores because he's created this document.
There's a paper trail.
There's a paper trail now. And so we can't say anything around him. So this whole thing stinks. I'm glad that they found that the Dolphins tampered because they did. The punishment wasn't nearly enough to fit the crime. But this tanking thing stinks to high heaven. He did it, and but for Brian Flores, it would have been successful. And Joe Burrow, there's an alternate universe out there where Joe Burrow is the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins.
But where does it go from here? I mean, again, we're going to just kind of wait it out. I understand the NFL tiptoeing around this. Flores made a great comment, certainly. But I guess between this and, I guess this part of it, and then what's the other aspect of the lawsuit where the not treating or giving the African-American coaches the proper, ability to interview and have a real chance to get the head coaching job. Man, those are big issues that the NFL is just, they're not going to go down easily here. And I don't know, what the end game is going to be for Brian Flores. I know he's going to continue to push forward here, but I just wonder how much he can actually get accomplished and done.
And to their credit, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I get accused all the time of being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I've never been a Pittsburgh Steelers fan in my life. And I say that because right now I am going to declare they are an organization of integrity.
100%.
Top to bottom. Because once Flores does what he has done in Miami, once he files the lawsuit, once the word is out there that he's a troublemaker, that's when other teams are going to be inclined to shy away from him because they don't want troublemakers. The Steelers are an organization of integrity, and I challenge a team out there because Brian Flores is a man of integrity and principle who will put his own earning capacity, his own job status behind what is good for the game, what is right for the game. The next team that hires him to be a head coach will prove itself to the world to be an organization of integrity top to bottom because now the man you are getting if you hire Brian Flores. And I challenge any team out there. Look, Sean Payton's a hell of a coach, and Sean Payton's going to land somewhere else this year. If you're a team of integrity, the name at the top of your list for 2023 should be Brian Flores. So, NFL teams, you want to prove us that your teams of integrity? Put Brian Flores at the top of the list. Don't tamper with him, though. But put him at the top of the list and make him a coach next year.
I know we had this conversation when it went down, and you thought maybe this might be the end for Brian Flores to ever be a head coach again or do anything like that.
Still may be. We'll see if any teams have integrity.
I know. Well, you're right. It is interesting to see. I wonder if it also just how long this legal process plays out. I have a hard time thinking anybody's going to consider him as a head coach candidate if the legal process is playing out. Maybe when that all gets finished and done, then he gets back in it. I do think there's going to be a team that eventually does, because there's just not that many good coaches to go around, and he's one of them.
Let me just say this. So I want to dispel this idea, because this came up with Colin Kaepernick. It comes up with Brian Flores. How can you expect to get hired by someone you've sued? How can you expect to get a head coaching job? You've sued them. You're supposed to be able to do these things and not face retaliation. And let's not just accept it's okay. If it was happening to you in your workplace, if your rights were violated, and then you get fired because you dared to try to advance and protect your own rights, that's wrong.
Yeah.
That type of retaliation is wrong. Brian Flores has proven to be a skilled coach. He was able to win in a toxic, dysfunctional environment where the owner of the team wanted him to lose. The owner of the team wanted to have one of these places where it's poisonous, where the players are like, what the hell's going on here? Aren't we trying to win? And Chris, back to the tanking. It was happening early in the 2019 season. Minka Fitzpatrick wanted out because of it, I believe. It was at some point, week 4 or week 5, where Brian Flores realized we can't play this game. They were getting the crap kicked out of them week after week, and it was around the bye week. We can go back and break down the schedule. I think he decided, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it. And maybe somebody said to him, hey, this is on you. This is your legacy. This is your record. They're going to regard you as a bad coach.
Yeah.
They're not going to say, well, they weren't really trying to win. They were trying to get Joe Burrow.
Right.
You're going to be gone by the time Joe Burrow's the coach, because you went 0-16.
Yeah. Right.
So I just hope that people realize he was within his rights to sue. He's right about what he's saying. And that if you are an owner of integrity, true integrity, you prove it by hiring Brian Flores to be your head coach. He's clearly qualified, and I hope that he gets a job sooner than later. And again, kudos to the Pittsburgh Steelers for giving him a job at a time when they knew the allegations he was making, and they still did the right thing.
Yeah, that's why the Rooneys and Mike Tomlin are awesome that way. They are. And I think they kind of line up to exactly what you're saying there. And that's why they're one of the better organizations in all of football. But we'll see. I don't think Brian Flores is going to get any dabbles in the head coaching market until this is settled. But I don't know when that's going to take place too. Well, how long do you think this drags out before this whole thing is done?
They're still screwing around with the arbitration issue.
Right. So
they're still
far away.
And where they're at in the arbitration issue, the plaintiff's side of it, Brian Flores and Ray Horton and Steve Wilkes, they are trying to get information about Roger Goodell's compensation, about his bias, because he's being asked under the NFL's in-house arbitration process to pass judgment in cases involving teams that are the ones who are paying him his $65 million a year. There's a bias there. How can you expect him to be independent?
Yeah.
And I'm glad that that's finally an issue. But Chris, that's going to be a fight for months. This case is going to hang around for years, barring a settlement. And look, I can't say this strongly enough. We're at a strange time in this country where there aren't enough true heroes, and the people who do the right thing get lost in the shuffle. Brian Flores is a true hero. He is somebody who is committed to, and it sounds hokey, it sounds like truth, justice, and the American way. Well, the American way no longer relies on truth and justice. We need a little more truth and justice in our society. And Brian Flores has proven that he is committed. And more people need to behave like him, more people need to applaud him, and more people need to take him seriously in his chosen profession. And I'm going to do everything I can to advocate for Brian Flores.
I'm with you,
regardless
man.
of the consequences.
I'm with you. I've known the guy for a long time. He's everything you're saying is totally true. He is a stand-up human being, no nonsense, good family man, father, perfect that way. And then, just a real football coach. And that's to anybody that's ever talked to Brian Flores, people that have interviewed him. I mean, I know people across the league who are always just, man, Flores is impressive. I mean, he really is. He is on everything. He understands the full scope of an organization and how it's supposed to be run because of his time in New England. And he's also a trustworthy soldier in the fact that he's not like a gossiper or anything like that, to where he's, trying to politic his way up the ladder or, talking behind closed doors or anything like that. I mean, I think the fact that even this went down and you didn't hear much about it at the time it was actually going down says a lot about Brian Flores.
He could have taken his complaints to the media.
He could have said to a few
we would
people.
Gladly,
well, that's what I mean.
Gladly
he could have said this to a coach here or a media guy here and kind of got the conversation going a little bit and been that guy. That's not in him. So, yeah, he is what the NFL needs and should want as a head coach. And he went 10-6 2 years in a row in a dysfunctional place like you're talking about without a franchise quarterback. Without a franchise quarterback in one of the better divisions in football, too. All those things. I mean, 10-6 2 years in a row. Makes no sense, and that's why I get back to the tampering. He was fired maybe because he pissed Stephen Ross off a little bit for not tanking, but ultimately because he was fired because Brady and Sean Payton put on the coup d'etat to get down there to Miami.
You make an excellent point, though. It would have been very tempting, and I'm sure he was tempted, to blow the whistle externally.
Sure.
Because he's getting all this pressure to lose.
Right.
And oh, my God, the guy's offering me $100,000 per loss. He's trying to tank the season. How do I beat this back?
Yeah.
One way to beat it back
Make it a public issue.
Make it a public
right,
issue.
Exactly
and he didn't do it. And
right.
he didn't do it.
Right.
That's another feather in the cap for Brian Flores. Even under a situation like that where it would have been so easy to justify betraying the team that is betraying you, that is trying to get you to go against everything you believe in, you still did the right thing and didn't. Although I think the right thing would have been to go ahead and talk about it because we would have loved to have had this story in real time. By the way, go ahead and sleep on the Steelers this year. Well, they got Mike Tomlin and Brian Flores.
I was literally just about to say it. To me, two of the most unspoken things in football this year, one of them is Brian Daboll not being with Buffalo and Ken Dorsey taking over, which I think is kind of under the radar, big thing I'm watching for a team that we're all putting in the Super Bowl in Buffalo. And then, yes, I'm with you. I mean, we just talked about Miami and we said they were 10-6 without a franchise quarterback and dysfunction. And why were they 10-6, Mike? It wasn't because their offense was awesome. Guess what? It was because their defense was the next level. I mean, they're extremely creative, and with them being creative, they're sound as hell. And I think to your point there, that's where I was going to go with it. That's why you got to be careful about sleeping on Pittsburgh. We know they got a little talent on defense. They're going to have some new schemes on the defensive side of the ball. Flores is going to be able to open up, a few different pages of the playbook for Mike Tomlin and company and go, hey, when I was in Miami, we lined up in this against this personnel set or this formation, and then we had this check if we thought they were checking out of this or blah blah blah, and he's just going to add to their overall talent and scheme, creativity on that side of the ball that I'm very excited to see.
Remember what they did to Lamar Jackson?
That's what I was going to go. That Thursday night. That's where everybody in the world.
They're going to play him twice this year.
Well, think about 2 years ago what they did to the Rams and Jared Goff in his last year. Remember, that was the first time they did it where you were like, what the hell is this? All 11 guys are at the line of scrimmage, and McVay and Jared Goff don't know what the hell to do. And, yes, so he's come up with these type of game plans that have made a mark around the NFL, and that's where he's a special coach, too.
By the way, PointsBet has the AFC North currently. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Baltimore Ravens favorite to win at plus 160.
Okay.
Bengals next at plus 200. I mean, what do the Bengals have to do to be the favorite in their own division? They almost won the Super Bowl. Then come the Browns at plus 225. The Steelers right now are 10-1. Hey, anyone out there who has a little money, please bet responsibly. How in the hell do you not take 10-1 odds for the Steelers to win that division? I know it's a great division, but again, and I've lived in and around Pittsburgh my entire life. Anytime the Steelers are regarded as, they're not going to be very good, that's when they end up having a pretty great year.
Yeah, I hear you.
And Mike Tomlin said it because Peter King pissed off Mike Tomlin by saying, well, you're not going to be very good. And Tomlin got mad at him, and he said, bring it on. Bring it on. And I think they thrive on that.
Yeah.
The Steelers do. The entire organization does.
Yes, 100%. They're they got a lot of bad dudes there, and I mean that in a way where they love the fight, they love the physicality.
You wanted
of
to say
football.
something else. You wanted to say the thing
bad
that
mofos.
You want to say the thing that Lawrence Taylor signs
exactly
when he
your jersey. Exactly right. That's what I did. But that's what they do have there, and I do think they enjoy the criticism. Yeah, put us down. We're not going to be very good, and the motivation and the fighting back of that is a very real thing in Pittsburgh. I've experienced it. I've seen Mike Tomlin when he was one of our defensive coaches in Tampa. He thrives off of those type of environments, and he becomes a better leader and a better motivator when he gets put in that corner there where, we saw it a few years ago with Duck Hodges and that group there where we're going, how the hell can they win a game? And they kept winning games and staying relevant.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.